for August 30th, 2021. Of course, we had students coming back to school in the Fairview area today, and the rest of the district goes back to school tomorrow. So we wish all the students and staff for a great opening. And at this time, I would like to invite Trustee Bovair to open us with an opening prayer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Amen. Dear Lord, as we begin this new school year, we gather once again as a community of believers. We thank you for the energy and the spirit that you renewed in us through the summer months. We thank you for the time to enjoy our family and our friends and to reflect on what is important in our lives. Let this year be marked with enthusiasm and in love, so that we, with the inspiration of your Spirit, that we may continue to grow in our faith. Help us to fulfill your hope for us with honest intentions and works of faith. Let us be gentle with ourselves and bring laughter and joy and love to others. We ask this in your name. Amen. In the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Trustee Bovair. This time we will move to item number 1.3, Treaty 8 recognition. Grand Prairie District Catholic Schools acknowledges that the Treaty 8 territory on which we stand is the ancestral land of the Indigenous people, the Cree, Dene, and Beaver, and is common home to everyone in virtue of God, our Creator's gracious gift. This time I need an adoption or an amendment to the agenda.
I can do that?
Yeah.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. That the Board of Trustees approve the agenda as changed, with the going into camera at the end of the meeting limited to just the trustees.
Okay. All right, so we've got a vote on the adoption of an amended agenda. I'll go in reverse. Anyone opposed? Not seeing any, the agenda is carried. Okay. I need approval of the minutes of the June 23rd, 2021 special board meeting minutes. Trustee Adams-Hessel.
That the board approve the minutes of special meeting held on June 23rd as presented.
Okay, motion is on the floor. Going in reverse again. Anyone opposed? Not seeing any, the motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, under upcoming events, under the board chair report, there's two there. St. Patrick's Catholic School blessing is something that we usually do with a sod turning, and in this summer we were given very short notice to when they were going to do that. So we will move forward to the blessing of the school when it's on the official opening. Okay, that's the update there. Now, the other one is the transportation meeting with Grand Prairie Public on September 13th, 2021 at 9 a.m. Now, I need a couple volunteers, two more trustees. Is that what the letter stated?
I think so. What did they say here, Michael? That they're going to have their board chair, their vice chair, and an additional trustee.
Okay, so sorry, Jody, you're getting this late, but are you available that day? Okay,
Yes.
And then I need one more trustee that's available to attend that meeting. And that's on September 13th, 9 a.m. Trustee Bovair. Perfect. We've got it full. Thank you. All right.
Excuse me, Michael, is that in person or is that over Zoom?
I will find out, but I'm pretty sure it's in person.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, and now under you see 3.2 long service awards. Okay, so we have, I think we went through this Jesse and I went through this, and we have, this is what our long service awards look like, just to make sure everyone has it.
Yeah, Adam, if you just want to open that nomination package, it looks like quite a few of our trustees are going to be acknowledged, so that's exciting. We have, you probably just want to check with us if we don't have our information right. They are moving into terms rather than years. And we have Michael Popek and Michelle Boisvert, both with 1 4-year term, as well as Jennifer Adams-Hessel. We have Jody Fingerhut and Aleshka Sylvester Dagan, both completing 2 terms. We have Michael Willett completing 3 terms, and we have Jamie Schulemmer, 14 years and 4 terms as a trustee. So we hope if you've completed 2 terms or more that we're to fill out that nomination package for each of you. So that's exciting.
So the office will fill out all those nominations and take care of it. Okay,
We
so
will do
it'll
that.
all be put in. All right. Okay. And that's all I have right now for upcoming events. So we'll move into 3.0B, administrative reports, information and results focused. And I'll pass that on to our superintendent.
Okay, thank you so much, Michael. I think the first one we have is to do with the YMCA Alternative to Suspension program update. So Adam, if you wouldn't mind sharing the screen on that PDF that we have. Now our district has had Mr. Henry Chauvet. He's been the district rep for this initiative from the onset, actually. So Henry, if you wouldn't mind just maybe providing a small update on this as we look at the attachment.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. So the YMCA is going to be up and running again. So they can take up to 6 students at a time. This is a tri-district initiative. So of course, we have Peace Wapiti and Grand Prairie Public and ourselves in this. And for those of you who aren't sure what it is, it's exactly like the name sounds, alternative to suspension. So these are students who are potentially making some less than ideal choices, and basically then instead of just giving them a suspension, giving the students some skills so they can be more skills and strategies so they can be more successful in the school setting. So instead of just parking them beside the principal's office, they're actually work with somebody. They do some schoolwork in the morning. Then they work on some strategies with some counselors in the afternoon. And this can be anywhere from 3 to 5 days, and parents are informed. And it was very successful last year. The total number of students that went through there were 11, and Grand Prairie Catholic had 5 of the 11 that participated in the program.
Perfect. Okay, are there any questions to Mr. Chauvet? Trustees? No? Okay, great work, and let's hope that it continues.
I actually-
Sorry, Jamie, go ahead.
Okay, I had just one. I seen that it says 3 to 15 days. You said 3 to 5 days. So is it just a 3 to 5?
3 to 5 is the most typical. If it's more than that, of course, it's just a different conversation that we're going to have with the parents. Typically, after 7-day suspension, the board is involved, and so it gets into an AP. And so typically it's 3 to 5, but under potentially extreme circumstances of expulsion, it could be longer, up to 15.
Okay, and so I guess what happens to those, is there anything extra that we do for those that are past, like into a 3-month or a full year suspension? Is there anything, any programs for them at all, or is this just what we have for now?
This is what it is for, like it is alternative to suspension, again, trying to build skills for those kids. Now, if it's getting to a situation where they're going to expulsion or a different type of programming outside of the school setting, I mean, those exist as well. We've had them in the past where, you set something that's in the past used to be ADLC, Alberta Distant Learning, but there are things for those students as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
So Jamie, on something like that, it would still, if it's a longer suspension, then it comes to the board. So then after that, we sit down and figure out what's best for the student there too.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Alishka?
Just looking, can you all hear me?
Yeah, better.
Okay. So just looking at the list of things they work with a counselor with, I assume those are specific to the reason the child was suspended. It's not, doesn't cover all those things for each kid, does it?
No, exactly. So of course the principal would fill out a form, and the parents would fill out a form saying what are the things you want to work on. So
Okay.
these are examples of typical things that they have set up, but it could be something outside of these. But these are the most used strategies and skills that they set up for the students.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chauvet. All right, I don't see anything more. We're going to move on to the next item, September 2021 parent consultation 4-year assurance plan.
All right,
Superintendent Shirley.
Thank you, Michael. Last we spoke, the board indicated that they were looking to maybe have a parent consultation or engaging their parents regarding our new 4-year assurance plan. And so just kind of giving you some information that we do have a meeting at the school district on October 7, where we will meet with our Alberta Education Director. That person kind of guides us through that assurance plan, leads us into some strategies to fulfill those goals. So just kind of giving you that information that if we go ahead with that September parent engagement, keeping in mind that we will weave together the information we get with parents with the guidelines that we receive from Alberta Education. And so these are big meetings across the province right now, as every district kind of has this new assurance model in front of them. So we're looking for some guidelines moving forward from Alberta Education, and just letting you know that should we decide to go ahead with that parent engagement in September. So.
Okay, perfect. Any questions? I'm not seeing any. So we will move to the next one. Superintendent's report, return to school.
Okay, Adam, if you wouldn't mind bringing up that attachment, that would be great. There were extensive discussions held, both with our senior leadership team here at district office, and as well, I want to mention that our 2 other school divisions were very, very willing to sit and kind of discuss this as well. We were all trying to get on the same page when it came to this. So yes, there are some probably minor differences, but for the most part, we felt that we were all moving in the same direction. Since we released this document, we've also been given pretty much every re-entry program from Zone 1. So at least we kind of feel like we're in this together. We're really not sure. Come September 27, we may get more guidelines and mandates rather than less, but we're all just kind of sitting and waiting. One of the messages that were certainly given to our principals was those guidelines and procedures and safety precautions that we were using in June, please start your school year like that as we begin with a very slow easing transition. So we were all just trying to be as careful as possible. We really want to respect those that still want to wear masks, that still maybe need those screens in their classrooms if they're doing any kind of group work, still kind of working towards that staggered recess, students sanitizing when they come in the building, washing before and after they eat, those kinds of things, really looking for that balance between that and listening to the government mandate masks on our buses, as well as tell us that things like food services and that slow transition into sports teams and things opening up. So that's where we sit with the school reentry at this point. And of course, it's a working document because as we hear more from government or Alberta Health Services, that document will certainly evolve.
Okay. Thank you, Superintendent Shirley. I'm sure we're going to have a few questions on this one. We've had conversations. I know myself, I've had conversations with parents, different emails and stuff like that. And so I will open the floor, and I see Alishka has a question, and then I'm going to go to Michelle.
Actually, I have more of a comment. I just first of all wanted to thank everybody who was involved in coming up with this. I very much respect that this is a difficult position to be in, especially with the government washing their hands of it and leaving it in the hands of each individual district. So everybody that had a hand in making this, I very much appreciate. My concerns rest with the under 12s who at this point cannot be vaccinated. So I do appreciate that we are watching, we are monitoring, and that we're willing to make changes as necessary. I just wanted to quickly share something with the board. Privately, I'm willing to tell you who this individual is. Most of you know who this is. Publicly, even though I have her permission, I'm not going to do that. But we have a mother with 2 children, 2 young children in our district. And just the other day, she tested positive for COVID. And her 2 daughters who go to the district tested negative. So legally, she is able to have her husband drop the children off at the school while she's at home positive. So she asked me to bring this to your attention to just show how easily she's choosing not to bring her kids to school until her 10 days are up of isolation. However, that's how easily our schools can have COVID go through. Legally, her kids can go to school right now, even though they're at home with their mom who's testing positive. So she just asked me to share that with you all. And so I figured that I would, just as an example of what's out there.
Okay, thank you. Michelle.
I too thank you for the document. It makes the transition a little bit easier. Everybody kind of knows what is the outcomes and stuff. My only thing would be is that we keep the message out there that as we go forward, things can change. And I think that that's important to keep in people's mindset, that this is today's document, tomorrow it could be totally different. And I think that we need to remind parents, as much as we would love to keep everything back to normal, that normal can be different tomorrow, the next day. And I think that, you know, somewhere in our newsletters or just a letter from you as the superintendent stating that, you know, we're going as planned as of tomorrow, as this is the plan, but it could change, and be ready for that change at a moment's notice kind of thing. I think that we need to still be mindful of that, that even though the government isn't saying anything, because they've left it up to us, that if we feel that, you know, we need to be tighter, then we have that option. And I think that that needs to be said out there, that, you know, the government has left that in our hands, so we're making this, and just so that they know that we're hearing them, but also that we also have somewhat that power to change it, and so that there's no well, you said this kind of a thing. And I think that we have to just stay mindful and be positive, but at the same time do our due diligence in making sure that people know that this world changes from day to day, and we don't know what we're going to be hit with, and that I think what we need to just be mindful of that. So that would be my only remark in all of this, is that it was a great job, and I'm glad we've done what we've done, but at the same time, be mindful that it can change at a moment's notice. So that was all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Boisvert. Trustee Adams-Hesseln.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well said, Trustee Boisvert. I know that, and I think everybody here has heard on pretty well every single documented sort of newscast with respect to children, they have all said that the best place for these students to be for mental health is in school right now. And so I think both Superintendent Jesse and Trustee Boisvert summed it up. Like, this is the best place for them to start. Hopefully, when they're in the routine, and we know that there's going to be the typical, sniffles that happen when the germs interact initially. And it's been like that ever since my son was in kindergarten, years ago, now graduated. But yeah, so I think, to stay on course with what we know is working so far, and we're all living in the same world at the same time. So let's keep them in the environment where they're going to thrive the most right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Trustee Fingerhut.
Just a question for Jesse. Did you talk to Peace River School Division about their plan?
They didn't send it to me, but they said they were willing to share it. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because depending who you talk to depends on how different our plan is from theirs. I actually haven't read it. I
Okay,
probably should,
okay,
but I've just been told on the grapevine
Yeah.
that it's quite a bit different than ours.
okay.
So I don't know that for sure though.
Definitely look into that. And I know some of our divisions up north that do a lot of busing have, you know, they're kind of examining that K-3 mandatory masks, but we haven't had any kind of feedback, positive or negative, regarding that. And as I just said gently to one mom, she wasn't really saying anything that was wrong with it. She was just asking, and I said, that doesn't come from the school division. That's a government mandate. And so she just said, oh goodness, okay, thank you, kind of thing. So
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay. I think, yeah, like Trustee Bover said, this is a living document. So we're going to follow it, we're going to watch it, and we will make changes as needed as we see. So, and also as Trustee Adams Hessel said, we've gotten the best place where they can be is in the schools. So that's where they're going to flourish the most. But we also have the option for the children that are learning online as well, and that's working very well too. So both scenarios are definitely working, and the parent has the choice on which one they want to go with. So the parent will have the first choice. Okay, moving on to the next item is 3.6, September 30th, National Day for Truth and Reconciliation.
right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. September 30th, as you all know, has now been deemed a statutory federal holiday on truth and reconciliation. However, in Alberta, I don't know if any of the school districts, because we approve our calendars in the spring, have went ahead and changed that to a stat holiday. So it is a bit of a gray area. It's a little bit convoluted. It does affect instructional minutes. It affects some people's work contracts. It certainly, you know, would affect our calendar and days in school. I did speak with our sister and boards, and they're going to go, let me backtrack. I was at a PD for CAS where all the divisions were talking, all the superintendents. And so nobody that I spoke to then were changing their calendar. Their plan was to acknowledge September 30th in a way that maybe their schools would be doing, you know, Indigenous education, Indigenous activities, kind of acknowledging it from being in school, with the plan that next year when they build their calendar, yes, indeed, it would be a stat. So of course that was about 10 days ago, because as school is up and running, I guess that's what I'm bringing to you is this a move that we're willing to make? Or is that a good compromise that we acknowledge it in school this year and next year it's a stat? I kind of put that on the floor for discussion. We did hear that we were going to hear something back from government regarding this. And I've since heard that we may not hear back anything, or if we do hear something back, it may be in the form of, we leave that in the hands of school divisions. So at first we heard it was going to be something a little bit more concrete by which we could kind of just go with a mandate. But now it sounds like I've heard nothing to this point as well. And now word on the street is that when we do receive notice, it will be a soft notice. So.
Okay, Trustee Adams Hessel.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. As a business owner, I wasn't sure when I read this if it was a stat or a public holiday. And I think there's going to be some confusion. I think right now it's looking like the banks and the post offices are closed. And I think that if we're not nationally, or if everybody's not on board, there would be a lot of child care implications that, you know, oh, whoa, this is something new. I think for next year, you know, even if there's like a PD day to join it, even to make a long weekend or something, I'm not sure where we're going to go with that. But I almost think that this year it might be very confusing to try to make this a holiday. But I really like the idea definitely recognizing our Indigenous peoples and this truth and reconciliation, most definitely.
Trustee Sylvester Deegan.
I agree with Trustee Adams Hessel that it may be confusing, but I also worry if the government does mandate it, isn't it going to be worse the closer we get to that date for people scrambling to try and find childcare and stuff? So I would almost err on the side of caution. But my question would be, let's say we make it a stat in our district, that's only a month away. What happens to instructional time? Are we going to have to then take away a PD day? And like, how complicated is it to make this decision, whether it's mandated or not?
Well, I mean, if the board said that that's the direction that they wanted to go, yeah, of course we would make it work. And you're right, Aleshka, it would probably, rather than tacking a day on at the end of the year, I'm sure you're right, that's probably our approach would be to then maybe shave off professional development day. So it's not that it can't be done. It's just, you know, as the calendar has been approved, I guess I'm looking for direction from this board as to if you'd like me to move forward with that.
And I guess I would ask you in return what your recommendation would be, just because I've said this many times as a trustee, we make decisions, we raise our hand, and we don't always understand the implications within the district. So from my seat, like I said, I'd worry that what if the government mandates it September 15th and then we have a bunch of parents scrambling. But on the other hand, if we don't have to go ahead with it, I like your idea. So what would your recommendation be? Because I'd be willing to support whatever you feel is best at this point.
My recommendation would be if the government went ahead and mandated it, we're all in the same boat. And I do believe that if the government did that, we would probably be held harm-free for that day, because there's last minute notice and people don't have enough time to kind of gather. But I don't think that's going to happen. So I'd like to work together, you know, with the superintendents that I speak with and plan something that's focused on Indigenous activity or education with it being a holiday, a stat holiday for the next calendar that we built.
In that case, I stand, oh, sorry. Okay, I stand with Trustee Adams Hessel then, and I agree that
I'll continue to converse with them just to ensure that we're all on the same page and that we all understand fully what we're doing so that we can send out some common messaging. So.
Sure. And I think I was thinking about it over the weekend. The last time that there was a new stat holiday brought in was, I definitely wasn't on the school board and I don't know where I was, but would have been Family Day in Alberta. And you know, and I think to try to move this forward after calendars are made and things are making decisions with such a short notice, it would be very difficult. So yeah, and I also agree with Superintendent Shirley, you know, yeah, let's, and the other trustees, let's move forward, leave it as it is. And for next year, when we do our calendar, we can plan better for the staff. But very short notice. Okay. Any other trustees have a comment on that? No. Okay. We'll move forward the way it is. Thank you. 3.7 finance updates in Alberta education.
Yeah, I'm going to turn this over to Chelsea and try and remember that it's not completely real time. So I apologize, Trustee Sylvester Deegan, for the little bit of lag as we played a little bit of verbal tag there. It's not real time. So Chelsea Nestable, our Secretary Treasurer, is going to give us an update from Alberta Education at this point.
So late last week, or I guess mid last week, we received our AFS guidelines and our template for our 2021 year end from Alberta Ed. And then the next meeting we had, or the next day, sorry, we had a meeting with a couple of members of Alberta Ed from the Financial Reporting and Accountability Branch and YESBOA members from around the province. So mostly consisting of various other secretary treasurers, but directors of finance, some payroll, some HR, all those types of people can attend those meetings. So When the template came out, it noted that there would be a change in some previous accounting treatments that were discussed last fall when they were talking about the WMA and the holding harmless related to the student enrollment numbers for September 30th from last year. So I guess upon further discussion with the Office of the Auditor General, they came to a different conclusion for the accounting treatment. So what will be happening with boards all across the province, and I imagine there is 60 other individuals having the same discussion at some point in the next week or two, is about how we will treat differences between our projected WMA and our actual WMA based on the September 30th count from last year. So there will be a deferral of revenue for boards like us. Some boards will actually see the opposite if their counts ended up being higher than what was projected, which there are some, but I think they're fairly few compared to those of us who will be reporting a deferral of some revenues or a liability, I should say. So basically what that does is it pulls a portion of our grant revenue that's related to the WMA calculation. And so we'll set that aside for the 2021 year, and then we'll get to recognize it in the 21-22 year. So eventually what that's going to mean is the deficit that we had budgeted for the 22 year end should be less. But that we will also see a deficit in our 21 fiscal year end, which we were expecting to see a surplus. So just wanted to give you guys an update on that. So there was no surprises when the AFS starts coming through. It will also make a difference on how much we can allocate into our reserves this year. So there'll be a bit of a timing difference for that as well. I don't think I'll go into a whole lot of other detail. I did have some documents attached there that shows what the adjustment will be. These are located on your projected operational funding profile, which are available for any district in the province on the Alberta Ed website. So those are actually something you can find. And then the funding adjustment that I attached is details that I was able to get from one of the specific branches at Alberta Ed to show how they had done the calculation differences. So does anybody have any questions about that? How it kind of all rolled out, or why on the timing? We can't hear you, Michael, sorry.
Can you hear me?
There we go, that's better, yep.
So just so that I understand this, we're going to have more of a deficit the year that we just finished, less of a deficit in the year that we're going into, and that's strictly because of the way in which the government wants the money moved around. It's not actually that we've spent more money or saved more money, it's just a matter of reallocation, right?
Basically, yeah. So there was I guess a reconsideration maybe of accounting treatment for recognizing specific revenues. So
okay. That's all I needed to know. Thanks.
Okay, anyone else? Not seeing anyone. Michael, go ahead, Michael, sorry.
So does that mean we're going to cover this year's deficit with our reserves, but we have to hold this 2 million over till next year so that we can realize that income, or how does that work?
Yeah, exactly. So initially we were projecting a surplus for this year. So once we recognize or don't recognize this portion of revenue, it'll put us into a deficit position. We do have a good accumulated surplus from operations sitting there, and we do have reserves, so we're fine to cover off the deficit. That's not a concern. I guess I should also mention, as part of this, it will cause changes to the reserves that we had approval for due to timing. And so I do have to resubmit that to the government. Everybody has to resubmit that, but does not require a specific board approval. So, but yes, basically it's just a timing difference, Michael. So we'll show a bit of a deficit. Okay. And I mean, I can give you those numbers. I'm not sure I'm ready to ballpark them yet. Year end is tomorrow. So, so we will have a deficit this year, and then the 2022 year end we'll have less of a deficit because we'll recognize that 2 million.
Okay. And going forward, it's gonna be like this again next cycle, so we'll have to put aside a chunk and realize it the next year?
Well, I think the big difference for us comes from we were a growing board, so our projections were always fairly healthy. Historically, we'd had growth, and so there was always growth projected. And then the pandemic kind of, put a pause on that and set us back a little bit. So that's why we can see that larger adjustment that we're going to have going forward. Our projection for the 21-22 year end is actually going to be pretty close. I don't want to say bang on because you're never bang on, but fairly close to what we're seeing for numbers rolling in right now. So we may not have much of an adjustment at all. That is the hope, right? The closer we can get to the projection, the less of an adjustment we will see. But they have, I won't say they've committed, but they are shooting for January to give us these numbers versus late year announcements, I guess I will say.
So we're in a good financial position going forward. That's kind of what I need to know.
Yeah, it hasn't changed anything that way. It's just a
Okay.
recognition between one year and the next. So it's just on paper and what we can designate into reserves at this point. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And I don't see any other comments coming through, so we are moving on the agenda to 4.0 action items. The first one up is 4.1, the assurance report. And I'm going to open that.
Adam, if you want to just open that attachment and just scroll slowly through it.
And Jesse, are you giving this report?
I am not. We are just
looking at it.
just looking at it
Okay.
and making a motion to accept it.
Okay, so everyone had the PDF that was in the package for the health and safety assurance report. Are there any questions before I ask for a motion? I'm not seeing, and yes, Jennifer, Trustee Adams Hessel.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. No, I thought it was a great report. I guess my only wonder is, and this may not fall under the occupational sort of health and safety, but I mean, it looks like we're doing everything that we can with respect to the interests of our students, fire drills, lockdowns, so forth. I'm just wondering, with respect to some of the teachers, if some of the kids have, special needs or maybe behavioral issues. We talked about suspensions earlier. If by chance a teacher were to get hurt or bit or something like that, do we have anything in place for the teachers in this report?
It's not in here.
Okay. Yeah, I don't believe that that's part of this report, Jennifer, but I can certainly dig up if you'd like the exact place to go that kind of addresses those kinds of things. Yeah, I can get back to you on that. If that's all right.
No, that's great. I just wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no, I think that recommendation is fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm not seeing everyone on the screen, but if anyone else have a comment?
I have a question and comment. So first of all, I think we have to make the motion before we can have a discussion on it.
Knew that I was doing that backwards. I knew it as soon as I started. So I need a motion, please.
I'll just make the motion that the Board of Trustees receive the August 2021 Assurance Report, Occupational Health and Safety 2020-2021, and refer to the governance recommendations to the 2021 Strategic Planning Session for consideration.
Okay, so now we've got the motion.
So
Go ahead,
now,
Alicia.
now my question, it's about the first aid. So it says that first aid training wasn't available because of COVID, which I understand. My question is, does the district offer training as like during PD or something like that? Or is that something that our staff have to seek out on their own? And if it's not offered as PD, would the district consider offering it as PD?
Hi, Aleshka. I don't have an exact answer for you, but I can get you one. But yes, I do know it's offered. And I do know that memos are sent out on a cycle to ask schools like who in your building needs to renew their first aid. So I do know that that happens on a regular basis. And those kinds of notices usually come out of Greg's office. So they keep track of the staff in schools, who's qualified and who needs to renew. So that's done regularly, yes.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions on before I call a vote on this motion? Trustee Adams Cecil.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. In the report, there was a recommendation for motion number 2. Now, how does that work just strategically, or when we're voting right now? If we would like to accept motion number 2 as recommended in the report, because Trustee Sylvester has raised the motion number 1, would we have to vote down that one and then accept the recommended motion number 2, or does it matter?
I think the procedure would be, as you said, yeah, we've got the one motion on the floor. I don't know if these are 2 separate motions. Procedure, no, it's either motion 1 or 2. So motion 1 is on the floor, and that's what we'll vote for. Go ahead, Trustee Sylvester.
My understanding was that there was 2 separate motions.
I thought it was.
Normally we have an alternate motion if it's instead of. So I believe that we would either pass or not pass number 1, and then we would go on to number 2 regardless.
That's right, because there isn't an alternate on there.
Oh, yeah, because
Yeah, so we're going to be voting on 2 motions. Trustee Fingerhut.
yeah, because one is receiving the report and the other one is saying we're committed to continue doing this. So yes, it is 2 separate motions.
Okay, so I'm going to call the vote on the first motion, and then I'll ask someone to make the second motion. So the first motion, as read by Trustee Sylvester Deegan, those opposed to this motion. I'm not seeing any opposed, so this motion passes. And now we'll go to motion number 2. If someone would like to make that, Trustee Adams Cecil.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Grand Prairie Roman Catholic Separate School Division is committed to maintaining a safe and healthy school division. Our commitment is based on the philosophy that health and safety excellence is a value expected of the organization, its management, and its employees. By supporting and implementing these values with diligence, the board will strive to create an environment where staff and students thrive.
Thank you. Motion is on the floor. Does anyone have any comments or questions about the motion? Not seeing any. I'm going to call anyone opposed to the motion. Not seeing anything. The motion carries. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving along. Assurance report personnel.
Okay, thank you again. Adam, if you wouldn't mind taking up this document and just kind of scrolling through it.
I'll put it on the floor. That the Board of Trustees received the August 2021 Assurance Report Personnel 2020-2021 as presented, and refer the governance recommendations to the 2021 strategic planning session for consideration.
Thank you, Trustee Schumer. Okay, so Adam's going to put it up. Again, this was in the package. You received the PDF. Are there any comments or questions concerning this document? And if anyone has anything, please speak up. I see about 5 trustees on my screen. So, okay, I'm not seeing anything on this. It was, again, a very well done report, and was a report that was easy to read as well. It was very precise, right to the point. So, well done. Okay, so the motion's on the floor again, using a reverse thing. Anyone opposed to this motion? And I don't see anything, so the motion carries. Thank you. Next one up is the assurance report on transportation. I need a motion to go forward. Trustee Fingerhut.
That the Board of Trustees receive as information the August 2021 Assurance Report, Student Transportation 2020-21, and refer the governance recommendations to the 2021 Strategic Planning Session for consideration.
Okay, motion is on the floor. Comments questions with the transportation? I see two fingers up. I'm going to start with trustee Sylvester Deegan and then over to trustee Fingerhut.
Actually, can we go to trustee Fingerhut first? Because I'm going to request we go in camera.
Okay, over to trustee Fingerhut.
I was just going to say it was a really good report. I thought that it gave us some really good information as to where we were at in terms of busing, what some of the problems were, how things are going working with other districts, and how we're hoping to continue going with that. So yeah, I was just really happy with the information, in the amount of information and the kind of information we got. Some of the information that we got, I wasn't that happy about, just because that's kids are waiting for their bus and it doesn't come or whatever, right? That's what I mean. So, but I did think it was the information was good. So whoever did it, thank you.
Okay, and I think as I was reading the report, and I'm trying to find it right now, it was the first time they were able to track that much data. So that's a good thing. And I think we've been asking for that for a couple of years. So yeah, it's moving forward well and stuff like that.
Good data.
Very strong data.
Yeah.
Right down to sick. So, okay. Trustee Sylvester Deegan is going to make a motion.
I'm actually going to withdraw it. I think there'll be a better opportunity for me to address my questions. So.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I have a motion on the floor. Going in reverse again. Anyone opposed to this motion? Not seeing any. It carries. Okay. Moving into the, I'm too far ahead of myself. 4.4, and I need a motion on the floor.
The board meeting dates for the 2021-2022 for 2021-2022 will be approved. I'm reading the wrong thing. That the Board of Trustees approve board meeting dates on September 13 and October 4th, and organizational and a board meeting on November 1st, 2021.
Okay, motion is on the floor. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
I have a question. Didn't we, is our orientation date already approved then? Because we have the orientation scheduled for, I believe, October 20th.
25th, I think.
25th.
Yeah, sorry, it is the, no.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not in my, it's in my work calendar, that's why. Has that already been approved?
No, this one, the one that you read was just for showing the organizational and a board meeting on November 1st, 2021. I think we've got newer information from that. So we could, motions on the floor. I need an amendment to that.
If we're going to make an amendment, somebody has to second it, and then we need a majority vote to add it. So I will propose an amendment to add the trustee orientation on October 25th, 2021.
I need a seconder for that to happen, and then I need a unanimous vote. So do I have a seconder to change that? I do. Jamie, trustee Schumer. Okay, and now I'm going to call for a vote, and I need a unanimous vote if it's declared.
No, you need a majority.
All those in favor? Opposed? None? Okay, all right. Do you want to read the amended motion?
Sure. That the Board of Trustees approve board meeting dates on September 13th and October 4th, as well as the trustee orientation on October 25th, 2021, and an organizational and a board meeting on November 1st, 2021.
Okay, motion is on the floor. Going in reverse. Those opposed to this motion? Not seeing any. The motion carries. Perfect. Thank you.
Before we move on, can I just mention that it is in our policy that all trustees attend the trustee orientation?
Yeah. Okay. Where am I? 4.5, election 2021.
All right, Adam, if you wouldn't mind opening this attachment and just scrolling it so everyone can just have a look at the numerous polls that we have in our rural locations. So it's looking very good this year.
Hold it, I gotta get a motion on first.
Okay,
Okay, so I need a motion for this one.
I'll do it,
Okay,
because after this all right. That the Board of Trustees designate the following times and locations for advanced polls for election 2021. For Ward 1 city residents, that advanced polls will be in accordance with advanced polls as determined by the city of Grand Prairie. For Ward 1 county of Grand Prairie residents, that advanced polls will be in accordance with the advanced polls as outlined by the county of Grand Prairie. For Ward 1 town of Beaver Lodge residents, that advanced polls will be in accordance with advanced polls as outlined by the town of Beaver Lodge. For Ward 1 of Sexsmith residents, that advanced polls be in accordance with advanced polls as outlined by town of Sexsmith. For Ward 1 MD of Greenview residents, that advanced polls will be in accordance with advanced polls as outlined by the MD of Greenview. For Ward 1 town of Wembley residents, that advanced polls will be in accordance with advanced polls as outlined by the town of Wembley. For Ward 2 MD of Spirit River residents, that advanced polls will be in accordance with advanced polls as outlined by the MD of Spirit River. For Ward 2 Saddle Hills County residents, that advanced polls will be in accordance with advanced polls as outlined by the Saddle Hills County. For Ward 2 Town of Rycroft residents, that advanced polls will be in accordance with the advanced polls as outlined by the town of Rycroft. For Ward 2 Town of Spirit River residents, that advanced polls will be in accordance with advanced polls as outlined by the town of Spirit River. For Ward 3 Birch Hills County residents, that advanced polls will be in accordance with advanced polls as outlined by Birch Hills County. For Ward 3 Town of Fairview, Clear Hill County, and the MD of Fairview residents, that advanced polls will be October 10th from 10 to 2 at the St. Thomas More Church.
okay, motion is on the floor. Superintendent Shirley.
thanks. Well, first of all, I'm sure that if you have any questions, I'm going to direct them to Chelsea. She's been working very hard with our elections officer. As you can see, there's lots that go into that. So we're super pleased at all the different polling stations in the rural areas that we have in this upcoming election. So anybody has any comments or questions?
Any questions or comments? Trustee
I have one.
Okay, I'll come right back to you. I'm gonna go with trustee Kopek and then I'll go to trustee Schuler.
Okay.
My question is, why is Birch Hills County residents in Ward 3?
Question.
That was my question as well. I was pretty sure that should be Ward 2.
Possibly a typo,
Yeah, possibly. We'll certainly look into that for you.
because we know that it's not.
Yeah. Ward 2.
Birch Hills is in Ward 2.
2.
Okay, so now I need someone to make an amendment. I need a seconder and then I need,
Are we amending this or are we gonna wait for it to be looked into?
I'd amend it.
go ahead, make the motion.
I'll amend the whole motion. Do you want me to read the whole motion again?
No,
And I amend for Ward 3 Birch Hills County residents that advanced polls be in accordance with advanced polls as outlined by Birch Hills County. 2, say for Ward 2 Birch Hills County residents that advanced polls will be in accordance with advanced polls as outlined by Birch Hills County.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Yes, I have a seconder. Okay. Now I may have went out of order. Oh no, trustee Schuler's was the same point. Okay, so now I need a vote. All those in favor of this amendment? Carried. Unanimous. Okay. So now we will vote on the amended motion. Anyone opposed? I'm doing it backwards. Opposed to the amended motion? Not seeing any. The amended motion carries. Good. Glad we caught that.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that.
Just an update on that too. We, at the last municipal election, we were a little behind on that, dealing with the outlying areas. So the team has done a tremendous job of making sure that that's all taken care of. So hats off. Okay. Next up, under action items 4.6, borrowing resolution, I need a motion. Go ahead, trustee Adams.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Now, the Board of Trustees approved the borrowing resolution for the Alberta Treasury Branch for the 2021-2022 school year, not to exceed $3,500,000.
Okay, motion is on the floor. Are there any questions? Trustee Sylvester Deegan.
My question is, do we usually do this annually? And my follow-up question would be, is this the amount we usually do annually?
I would answer that by saying yes and yes. It is done annually, and that is usually the amount. Any other questions or comments? None. I'm going to call the vote in reverse. Anyone opposed to this motion? Not seeing any, the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving along. Policy review and policy amendments. Policy 15 is school closures, and I need a motion. Go ahead, trustee Sylvester Dean.
That the Board of Trustees approve policy 15, school closures as presented.
Okay, so I'll ask administration, are there any changes to this policy?
There are no changes.
No changes. Any questions or comments about this policy? Not seeing any. I'll call a vote in reverse. Anyone opposed to this policy? Not seeing none, the policy or the motion carries. Okay. 5.2, recruitment and selection of staff, and I need a motion.
That the Board of Trustees approve policy 16, recruitment and selection of staff as presented.
Okay, same question to admin. Any changes, policy 16?
No changes.
No changes, and it was in the PDF, so you could just to confirm that. Okay, so any questions or comments? Not seeing any. Going in reverse again. Anyone opposed to this motion? Not seeing any. The motion carries. Okay, next up is policy 9, appendix A, trustee remuneration and expenses. I need the motion by trustee Fingerhut.
That the Board of Trustees approve policy 9, appendix A, trustee remuneration and expenses as presented.
No changes.
Again, there are no changes to this. Are there any comments or questions? I've got 2 trustees up. I'm going to start with trustee Schumer, and then I'm going to go to trustee Boulder.
The only thing I have to say is we had revised our remuneration in January of 2021. However, at the bottom of the page, it is saying revised December 14th, 2020. Is that because it was just approved in January of 2021? There was just 2 discrepancies there, that's all. And I think it's because we revised it at a board meeting on December 14th, and then in January 1st, is when it came into effect, I believe. So I just wanted clarification on that.
That is correct.
I think she's right.
Yeah, that is correct. It would have came to the board then. We would have made that motion, and then it would have changed in January 2020.
Thank you. That's what I figured. I just wanted clarification on it.
Thanks, trustee Schumer. Trustee Boulder.
Yes, I have 2 things. It may not need to happen at this meeting, but maybe we need to relook at this after we've had some time to think about it. But when we're going through our committees that we're on, the Faith Permeation Committee, I've sat on that for this term and stuff, and I just felt I didn't know what my role was on that. I think the committee is great, but I didn't know what my purpose was as a trustee sitting on that committee, because I felt that Laura, when she came to our meetings, she discussed everything that happened in that meeting. So it's not necessarily that I think the committee is bad, but I just don't know if a trustee needs to actually sit on that committee. Now, I could be totally wrong. I guess I just didn't know what my role was sitting there as a trustee on that committee. If I was to bring input, am I to, that type of a thing. So maybe it's just for further discussion about that committee itself, whether or not the need for a trustee to sit on that, unless someone can give me some information now. But I just feel because Laura's coming to our meetings, she's kind of sharing what's happening, that is it necessary for a trustee to sit on that? I'll leave it at that.
Okay, that's your
Unless,
first.
sorry.
Go ahead. Did you have 2 points?
Yeah, I did. And
Okay.
my other thing was about the per diem. Now, again, it's the clarification. I guess when I see the 2 numbers in 2.1, it has like the trustee per diem, we have it at 194.20, and then it was 205. And then in 0.3, it has the different numbers of being, where is it? 102.93 and 205. I'm just like, should those numbers be different or changed, or like I'm not sure if, I guess I don't know what I see that we're charging the 102.93 for less than 4 and the 205.85 for more than 4 hours, but it's just the 2 numbers are different from 2.1 to number 3. So
Okay, so in
2.1.
Yeah, in 2.1, I don't see the half one.
Okay, so that's what I'm wondering, is these were just the full day per diems that were there, not half. So I guess that's where my confusion was.
No, that's in trustee Bover, that's where the half is, the 102.
Okay.
205, the 205 is the same number down in 3, right? And then the other one is our half one.
Okay. That was just for clarity for me then. Okay, thank you.
Just to answer your first question, the one on the committees, it's funny that you bring that up now, because when we do the orientation, we're going to go through more on the role of committees and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a good question. Better to keep that question when we get into that committee thing, because that's where we can answer it the best.
Okay. I just, like I say, it was just to kind of put it out there. And I mean, like you say, if we can have that further discussion, that's great. Because I think that, maybe we need to that way be the opportunity to review all the committees and see whether or not our roles need to be there or not there, kind of a thing. So I just brought that up there just because I sat on that committee. That's all. So thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Schuler.
So I guess my question, you were saying, when did you want to review that? Because I think it's important that we do review those things prior to the election. I feel strongly about a trustee being on that committee, even though Laura does present and give everything. It's just good for the trustees to be on these and be aware of what is happening. And yes, when I sat on that committee for a few years, I did provide input at times. It was before this, before and after the current Laura was the director of that. So I just feel that we need to, if we're going to review that one, review all of them, and I'd say do it beforehand of the orientation, because new trustees coming in wouldn't have a clue which way or the other. So if there is trustees that haven't sat on that are no longer there, I just think that we need the input now and not after the election.
You're absolutely correct on that, but what this motion is dealing with is not committees. This motion is dealing with the guidelines of trustee remuneration and expenses.
But Michelle brought up the committee to start with, so I think that's where the conversation came.
Yeah, that's where the conversation came, but yeah, we have to look at the committees, and we are going to look at the committees. Okay, does that give everyone a thumbs up on that? Okay, trustee Adams has it.
And thanks, Mr. Chair. I mean, with all fairness to Trustee Bover, if we look at 3, it does talk about the Archdiocesan Pastoral Council. So I think that that's probably what sparked that. Oh, maybe we should discuss this if we're discussing per diems, and so I
Yeah,
can see where
absolutely.
she was coming from. Thanks.
Yeah, and no one's saying anything different on that. We're saying that trustee Bover brought it up and we're gonna discuss it at the right time. It's an excellent thing and we were talking about it today. Okay, so
Michael,
trustee,
somebody stopped my video.
trustee Fingerhut.
I just want someone to fix it.
Okay, I'll see what I can do for you.
Okay.
Ask to start.
So I have a motion on the floor. And I'm gonna go in reverse. I'm waiting. I can see Jody, so at least I can look over at her. All trustees, anyone not in favor of this motion? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Oh, you're back.
I'm
Jody's
back.
back.
Thank you.
All right, 6.0, board committees and representation reports. And I will remember at the end to ask for a motion. So I'm opening up 6.1. And you can see that there were not a lot of meetings during the summer. There is one under the, and I could have brought it up during the board thing, but it was in the political action. There is an MLA meeting on, we now have the dates, don't we? Is it the 8th or the 6th of October?
We do. We have a September 8th and or possibly we could have it on October 6th, depending on our trustees' availability.
Okay, so what's the availability for trustee? Go ahead, trustee Finger.
I'm good for the 6th of October. Works for me.
I'm not good for either date, so let's keep going. Trustee, I'm just gonna go around. Trustee Bover.
I think I said that I'm available on the 8th.
Okay.
I'm just checking my calendar now. Either dates would work for me.
So 8, and what works for trustee Finger?
October 6th.
Okay, so, and you can do the 6th too, Michelle?
Yeah.
October 6th, right? I got the right date?
Yeah.
October 6th, okay. Trustee Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. September 8th does not work for me. I may be able to work out October the 6th because I do have enough notice for that. I was just wondering, oh no, is the zone meeting October 2nd? No, when's the zone meeting in Peace River?
We're gonna bring that up and it'll be up in the rest of the agenda.
Okay.
September.
Yeah.
Sorry. I have it.
Okay. So I'm just trying to get the MLA meeting, trustee Popek. Can't hear you, Michael.
I'm not good for September, but October I can probably do.
Perfect.
6th. Yeah.
October 6th seems to be the winner so far. Trustee Sylvester Deegan.
Either October 6th or 8th works for me.
Okay, we're going with October 6th so far. Trustee Schuler.
I believe October 6th will be the best for me.
Okay. And was that the date that was sent out originally in our calendars?
It was not, it was September 8th.
Okay, so October 6th, we'll check with the MLA on that. We'll get back to everyone on that.
I think we've already checked, Michael,
That's
just
good.
to kind of put
Okay,
a couple of dates out because we wanted to make sure that we were available.
Okay, October 6th is the date. Okay, thank you. Under Grace Committee, we've got one pager. Is that attached? Up top is the info sheet on the Grace Committee. This is something that the committee wanted sent out at our last meeting. So this is the info sheet that was set up and was sent out. And and we'll find out when the upcoming Grace meeting is. I don't know if it's scheduled already or not, but you'll get it.
September 16th.
September. Okay,
16th.
and it's in our calendars.
Yes.
Thank you, trustee Boger. Okay, I've lost me. I'm back. Okay, so that's that information. Next one is board representation. ACSTA Board of Directors. We have had some meetings over the summer, and we'll be able to fill you in on that. ASBA Association Zone 1. Trustee Adams Hessel had the question on the date on that. Do we have a date? I know it's a Wednesday.
The 22nd, I believe that is.
Yeah, Wednesday, the 22nd, and that is in Peace River, am I correct?
Yes, because it's the banquet and for your friends of education.
Okay.
And I think there's a letter here in the correspondence where we have to tell Robin who's going.
Right. Okay, so when we'll do that. So we got the date. Any questions on that one? None? Ambassador of Christ in recognition. Any meeting in the summer? No. Archdiocesan Pastoral Council. Any meetings? Michael's saying no. Faith permeation, no meetings. Friends of STM. Nothing yet? No. GP Education Foundation. Michael, anything yet?
This it's coming up on the 16th.
Okay, perfect. CKC scores, nothing with the trustees. TIVA, we've had a few meetings throughout the summer, and we're also having a meeting on this. I think it's next week on Thursday, and it's with the negotiations. Some stuff is going to the arbitrator, and we're working through all that stuff. So they're all getting ready for that too as the negotiations move forward with that organization. Administrative Budget Committee. No.
No, nothing
No.
this time of year.
Okay, I'm moving. Okay, ad hoc committees. Okay, today we had a trustee orientation ad hoc committee, and that's moving forward really well, and we've got lots of stuff coming on that. And we will be updating the board on that at our next meeting. But yeah, we had a good lengthy meeting today, and it was a good meeting on different things. And that Trustee Bover is where we're going to work on that committee stuff as well. Okay, so yeah, it was a great question. It's funny, it's right on the same day that we were discussing that. So thank you for that. Okay. Board retreat ad hoc. We had no meeting yet. Sorry, someone want to speak?
Yeah, can I speak
Yeah,
to the
sorry.
orientation committee?
Oh, I'm sorry.
just-
You were there.
I just wanted to give the board a heads up that there will be some proposed policy changes coming at the next meeting, probably quite a few. And also just to elaborate a bit on what Michael said, part of that will be defining more what it means to be a committee or representative, or we're adding new language, liaison, because there was some confusion around what each of those things mean. So just a heads up, there's going to be a whole bunch coming your way next meeting.
Okay, perfect. Trustee Adams Hessel.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. If there are going to be a lot of possibly policy proposals, if you know now, can we just have a list of those now? Because I know that I myself have been thinking of some different things that, we might want to look at. And so that would be really great, so we can be prepared prior to the meeting.
Yeah, so I think on that, the committee, Trustee Adams Hessel just met today. So we're working on that. And then we will have it in the package.
No, I was just saying, it just sounded like Trustee Sylvester's like, okay, there's going to be lots of policy changes. We don't need to know exactly what you're proposing, but if you know it's going to be, policy number, whatever, 14, whatever the number is, even if we just know that, if there's something where we could just read it ahead of time, that would be awesome.
Perfect. Yeah, as soon as we get a package together, we're meeting again. So when we get that information, we'll get it out to the trustees as soon as it's complete. Okay. Phone doesn't like me. Okay, and regional school site ad hoc meeting, there was no meetings for that. So, okay. ASBA. So really, I don't think we have any reports from Zone 1. Just that what's going to be in the information at the on the letter. So there hasn't been a Zone 1 meeting, and the next one we've got that date. So the two things down there that you see though is and this is where you're seeing it. So the fall general meeting, we've got the dates for that. And I was in a meeting with ASBA this morning, and they're still to go, and they have a backup plan as well. So right now it's live, but they do have a backup plan. Okay, and the other one, this is the one from Robin. That's the information she is asking for. They need the numbers and stuff. So I guess at this time, I'm going to go through, and this would be attending. They're going with both sides, right? There's going to be virtual and there's going to be live. So, Trustee Bover, are you live or virtual?
I will be live. Thank you.
Trustee Adams Hessel.
I will also be live. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Michael Popek.
I can't make it, sorry.
Okay. Trustee Sylvester D.
I'm not sure at this time. I'll be there. I'm just not sure whether I can be live or not.
Okay. Trustee Schulemer.
I will most likely be virtual again.
So not live, because I've got to give the numbers. So you'll either be virtual or not there, correct? Okay, perfect. Thank you, Trustee Schulemer. Trustee Fingerham.
Live.
Live. Okay, so we've got 3 live. I'll be virtual. Excellent. So that's a good turn. Okay.
Just a clarification, Mr. Chair. Are you talking about the Friends of Education and Edward Parr meeting, or are you talking about the November 14 to 16?
On that last one, I was talking about the Zone 1 awards being put in Peace River.
So where we're doing Edwin Parr and Friends of Education. Okay.
The other one, I didn't really ask for numbers yet because there's an election between them. So. But as I said that in the past, we have registered with the hotel rooms and stuff like that. And I think I was reading it where the ASBA sent something out that we could register ourselves for the hotel rooms. So let me dig a little deeper in that, and then you'll hear something back on that. So I got Trustee Bover and then Trustee Sylvester D.
I just was wondering, are you guys going to let Robin know who's attending in person and who's attending virtually, or do you want us just to reach out to her?
We'll get Superintendent Sure to reply. With the
Perfect, thank you.
Trustee Sylvester Deegan and then Trustee Adams.
I just wanted to say, because you need an answer right away, I'll just say that I'm going virtual and I'll attend virtually for that because I can't commit at this time to go live. So.
Okay, I still got 3 live. Okay, Trustee Adams.
Yeah, that was my question, Mr. Chair. I thought you'd said Trustee Bover and Trustee Sylvester, but I will be the one of the 3 live. Thank you.
I got the 3. Okay, perfect. And I'm going to get back to you on that November one. I'm going to dig into that a little bit more. I think, did all trustees receive that email? Yeah, so, and it did say to register for those. They gave us the hotel room and everything. So let's figure that out, and we'll bring it back to the next meeting and we can go from there. Because the rooms can, that's what we need to check. Can the rooms be canceled? Can the rooms change? And stuff like that. So, okay.
When Violet used to book them, sorry, I think that, because I don't think you booked them yet, right? She used to book them under Grand Prairie Catholic, and the way I understood it, she could give the names after.
Yeah, and this one was really different. This is the first time I'd seen her send out to trustees to book themselves. So I'm gonna get more information on that. ACCA, again, the annual general meeting and convention is coming up. You can see in there that for this thing, there's, if we want to make a resolution, we need to look at that. There's different awards that we can. So again, this was in the package. Did anyone dig a little deeper and want to discuss any of that, or do you want me to put it on the next agenda? for this stuff. Did anyone have something right away, or? I don't think.
I don't, Michael, but they're saying that any nominations need to be in by September 6th for any nominations for the awards.
Oh, for the awards, yeah.
Right. And so if we have any of those, then we need to have those in prior to the 6th, then we don't meet before that, correct?
Right, so yeah, as going deeper into it, thanks, Trustee Schuler. So really, there's the honorary life membership. There is the Faithful Stewart Long Service Award. So that's where we would have to, again, look into. We would get an administration to look into that right away, because that's the one, that's the terms, how long you sat on, and I think it starts at 10 years. So I'm not sure. So that one we need to look at. And there's the appreciation awards and the, I'm not positive on how to say that, but number 3, meritorious service awards.
You got it.
Hit it.
You hit it.
Trustee Popak.
With the it being in 2 different hotels this time, are we gonna book for one hotel or move halfway, like on the Sunday night?
Great question, Michael. I think each trustee can decide where they're going, but we can also decide, you know how easy it is to be at the hotel.
Well, one is downtown and one is on the south side of Edmonton. So my recommendation would be to change hotels, personally myself, because you could have freezing rain. It's November. It's always the greatest time of the year.
And it's just easier to be at the hotel. So, but if one wants to stay one, we can figure that all out. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we do have till September 6th. Take a look at the different nomination forms. If you get a chance, look through them. And if there's something, please contact me. September 6th is probably a Friday. And September 6th is actually, well, it's Labor Day. And I got a little pull there. So we'll have a couple days grace as well. Yeah, please take a look at that and see if there's anything in the nomination, and send me an email if you just want to talk. If you think, I'm thinking of this or I'm thinking of that, and we can work on that together. Okay. Anything else, ACSTA? Okay. So I'm trying to get back into my phone. I'm back. So now I need a motion to accept the reports, the committee and representation reports. Trustee Fingerhut.
Make a motion that the board accept the committee and what was the other one?
Board representation.
Board representation reports.
Okay.
As presented.
Motion is on the floor. Anyone opposed? Not seeing any, that motion carries. Thank you. Under B is request for information of future agenda items. That's where you can put that in there. Okay, so now official correspondence. There was 3 or 4 letters. Any questions on any of the official correspondence? Trustee Finger.
The one from Alberta Education regarding O'Brien. That they're not going to do the design changes that we wanted.
Okay, I'll pass it over to Superintendent. Sure.
Yes, I think that derived from when the board had decided that O'Brien Lake was going to be an immersion site.
Mm-hmm.
One of the questions that came out from that was, will it be able to include the grade 8s? Because at the time we were also talking about moving the grade 8s back to their feeder schools. So we had then requested, or under the direction of Carl back in April, had requested, could we make some design changes to O'Brien in order to do that right up front in order to house the grade 8 population. And so the letter came back and said, no, I'm sorry, we're not able to do that at this time, but you're certainly willing to go forward and still apply for modulars at a different time. But they're not going to include that in the initial bill. I believe that's what the letter reads. So, so as of today and as of now, the grade 8s, as they move back to their feeder schools, the grade 8 immersion students are still at St. John Paul II.
I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that. Because wasn't that one of the reasons why we went?
Well, originally it was, they were always going to stay at JP2, and when we were sending all the English kids, we're keeping them. We weren't sending them back to St. George, but that was a space issue, right?
Yeah, but I thought once we moved them to O'Brien Lake, the French kids, then we would take
Move the 8s back.
back to St. John Paul, because that's a bit of an issue in if I.
Yeah.
So people say.
Yeah.
So, okay.
That's what we're at with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joe.
I'm gonna go to Chelsea.
Just if you want me to speak to it, Jesse, or are we good with that one?
Yes, no, go ahead. Yeah, I didn't know which one of us is going to say something there. Go ahead.
The intent was because when you're in the building phase, you could have pipes upsized, you could have a firewall put in, those types of things that you could do during construction that would make costs of moving modulars onto that property later less costly than it would be to have those in right now. But the response was because we put modulars into the core of the school, that they weren't going to put those costs to pre-plan for modulars at this point. It doesn't mean that we can never put modulars on that school. It's just that there will be extra costs when we do that. That was.
Okay, no, I understood that.
Okay.
I was just making sure I understood what they were saying.
Okay. Trustee Adams has it.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Are we absolutely sure that there will be no room for the grade 8s at O'Brien as it stands right now if the building is finished? And, you know, we have all these different flex spaces and so forth. Are we 100% sure that there's absolutely no space for the grade 8s? And then I guess the second part with that would be, is there enough money in our reserves if we're not past that building phase at this point? Is there enough money in the reserves to put those pipes in, or to upsize, or to put to pay? I know we've paid to resize gyms and so forth, or put money aside for that. Is there money? Are we financially healthy enough that we could do that right now, looking to the future?
Great question. I'm just wondering on that one, if we should, if Trustee Adams Hessel is okay, if we almost move that to a future agenda item and to give administration time to look at that and then come back. Chelsea, can you answer that now? Of course you can.
Sometimes. I will try my best. So when we put in a request for the modular classroom program, generally you can add in there if you'll have additional costs for any types of, you know, if you have to add parking lots because your city requires so many parking stalls and those types of things. So we can look at adding it at that point. It's just not quite as cost effective, which is why we had gone at it this way. But I don't necessarily think that we would need to put aside reserves at this point unless we get to that point where we've applied for the MCP a few times and the province won't fund it. And generally that is supported by enrollment data. So.
Okay.
Go
ahead. Yeah.
Trustee Adams Hessel, I think it's a great question. After having sat on a few of the committees when we built Mother Teresa and St. Catherine and GP2, one of the things that always surprised me about sitting on those was the cutoff time when you have a request. So sometimes it's, even if we have the money, they would say, I'm sorry, the design is too far along for us to make those changes as they sign off with Alberta Infrastructure, and it's those timeframes are always so far in advance as opposed to when you're, say, building a house or something. So they, even if we have the money and the wherewithal, they may still say, I'm sorry, the design is set in stone, we've signed off on it. So that does happen sometimes. And surprisingly enough, it happened to us at St. Catherine when it came to moving water fountains. So sometimes our hands are tied with those things.
Perfect. Okay, any other questions on official correspondence? Not seeing any, I'm going to move to the next one. 6.7 administrative procedures update. No changes?
No, I don't think so. Well, wait a minute. I think I might be looking at the wrong. There are a few changes on that one.
This is, yeah.
These ones. There's a couple of them here. The administering medical treatment to students. What we did on that one, it just kind of ties back to something that Trustee Adams Hessel mentioned earlier, is when administering medical treatment to students, we just kind of tied it back to the Emergency Medical Aid Act that kind of ensures that you are covered and protected as a responsible adult in the school when administering medication. So that's what those changes revolve around.
Okay, and procedure 423, is procedure 423, the way I read it, heavily COVID?
All of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
And
423 is heavily COVID, should, you'll see some changes that way.
yeah, and the update on the self-assessment.
Right.
And mostly talking about if you are working from home but able to work as opposed to isolating and unable to work. So again, as the reentry document becomes evolving, so do all those policies and procedures around that.
Perfect. And then cash in school, there was a few, is it just wording changes on this?
I think that Chelsea might want to speak to that, but yeah, there's some, we've upped some of the money under number 6. So
Right.
Chelsea, did you?
Okay, thanks, Chelsea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Jesse. It's just a change in our deductible, so the AP is being reflected of that. So
Thank you. Thank you for all that. Okay, now this one you may have read in the newspaper or through correspondence. School council grant will be given to each school council of $500 earmarked for communication, from what I read through the press release and stuff like that. So again, that's information, and I'm sure every school council will know about it, and I know the school councils are firing back up again. So that is something you can bring to them along with the board of news. Okay, I'm so lost here now. Hold on. I'm almost to the end and I lose my, where am I? Here we go. All right. I thought we're going into camera. Nope, I got trustee monthly updates. 6.9. And then I'm going to ask for a motion. So I'm going to go just from the top of the screen, trustee Bover, and then I'm going over there.
Boy, pick on me today.
Well, you're up in the corner. You're right there.
It's fine. Nothing really much as trustee related, except for the opening school mass. I attended that. I have to say it was probably one of the best ones I've been to. I just felt there was a different vibe in the whole atmosphere of the church. And I think it was just, we were all eager to be back in person. And I've heard lots of comments that it was very reverent and very, it was just like we all needed that as a district, just to be able to come together and pray and be supported. And so hats off to the committee that puts that together, because it is a big feat. And, and I look forward, and the good news about all of this is I look forward to the year and, just to be able to be in person as much as we can. And, just to be that support and continued support for teachers, parents, and staff all around, and just to be that little light that we can be, just to share with everybody our faith and our joy of having a district that we have. So that would be my good news sharing.
Thank you. Thank you, trustee Bover. Over to trustee Adams Hessel and then trustee Popick.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Chair. So I guess for me, it's I'm just happy to be back in a situation where hopefully we can be, I guess respectful of all the unique talents that we bring to this board, and for as long as I am here, to just to continue to work for that goal, which is doing the best that we can for the kids in our district.
Thank you, trustee Adams. So trustee Popek, and then over to trustee Schuler.
It has been a quiet summer for me. So I've been busy working, and it wasn't much to do with the school board all summer. So I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but it was nice and quiet. So
Thanks, trustee Popek.
that's it.
Schuler, and then over to trustee Fingerhoff.
I don't have anything to report other than I was disappointed I wasn't able to make it to the opening mass. So I might send my apologies to all the staff and wish them all a good year. Looking forward to the new year.
Thank you. Trustee Fingerhoff.
Pretty quiet in my neck of the woods, but I did do opening mass, which was awesome. And I did my first agenda meeting with Jesse, and that went really well too. So it was very good.
Thank you. Trustee Sylvester Deegan.
So I also attended the mass in person, and I have to echo everything Trustee Boisvert said. It was really well done. I think there was a different vibe. I also very much appreciate the work that went into meeting people at their comfort levels. So how we had people who wanted to attend in person could attend in person. There was a different area in Tranquil Hall that was mandatory masks for those that wanted that. And then there was also the option for staff to watch from their schools, the live stream. So I realized that takes a lot of work and a lot of preparation. So I think it was really well done, and I'm glad I was able to attend. And I also did the ad hoc committee meeting today for trustee orientation. I'm really excited about how it went. I think it was great. A lot of good things were brought up. So thanks to everybody that was there with me today.
Okay. Myself, I wish usually the summer is that, but yeah, it's been a full summer in school board world for myself, and not complaining because it's been really good, but lots of meetings with the ACSTA, ASBA, CHIBA, different organizations like that. Attended the opening mass virtually, was unable to attend. Trustee Fingerhoff gave an excellent greetings on behalf of the board. It was really good. Have had numerous meetings with Superintendent Shirley. So it's, the district is in good hands. We're moving forward very well, and it's nice. It's very nice. But yeah, it has been a busy summer, and we'll go into it a little more here later. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. I need a motion for after. No, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do can I get a ruling on the? Should we do closing prayer, and then we'll go in camera, and then we'll adjourn. So we'll come back to that. Okay, so trustee Gobert, or no?
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna do the motion to go in camera first.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not. I'm doing the closing prayer, and then thank you. Got it all organized now.
All right. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, as we come to the end of our time together, we thank you for what has been accomplished here today. May the matters discussed serve as a catalyst to move us forward and cause us to advance and seek growth in all areas of our lives. May we leave here recognizing you are the God of all wisdom. You are willing to lead us. And you are willing to lead us forward. We pray this in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you very much. So now I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we go into camera at 6:41 to discuss land, legal, labor issues, including just the trustees.
All those in favor? Sorry, I'm going with favor on this, just to mix it up. Okay, that's carried.
Everyone.